රිවයින් කරන්න පුළුවන් නිසා මුකුත් මගේ වෙන්නේ.
BOTV ටීවී බලන හොඳම විදිහ.
Making headlines on First at 9. Brain drain. President Maithripala Sirisena highlights intellectuals leaving the country as a major cause for concern. Political gambit. Independent group vacates seats at Maharaja Urban Council. Members of Sri Lanka Podujana Perumuna takes oath in their place amid objections. Conditional contribution. Chief Minister of the Northern Province reveals that the diaspora is willing to invest in northern economic development, but at a cost.
As soon as the federal constitution is effected, you could be absolutely certain that our diaspora would want to invest here in a big way.
Caution urged. Officials take measures to keep hospitals in Sabaragamuwa on alert to control the spread of influenza A virus.
There is a possibility of the disease spreading to the Sabaragamuwa province as well.
Nature's wrath. The death toll from Fuego volcano's eruption on the verge of 100. Nearly 200 people are missing. A very good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Katharina Chang. On your top story tonight, brain drain has become a major concern in various countries across the globe, with even the likes of England struggling to address the issue. 4 African countries are among the top 10 nations facing the biggest brain drain, with Malaysia and China also included in the list. In this backdrop, President Maithripala Sirisena says that one of the biggest issues faced by Sri Lanka in modern times is that the government is vilified when attempting to introduce control measures. The head of state expressed these views at a function held in Colombo today. A ceremony organized to present appointment letters to 500 graduates who passed the teaching examination in the Western Province was held under patronage of President Maithripala Sirisena at the Nelumpukuna Theatre this morning.
Rajamani Mahatmiya, Rajamani Mahatmiya.
උගතුන් වැඩි සමාජයක් තමයි.
A society with an abundance of intellectuals is a must to develop a country. A considerable number of teachers are not in classrooms on a daily basis owing to various issues including maternity leave. There are also issues arising from teachers going abroad. There are around 250,000 to 260,000 teachers in Sri Lanka, but data show that around 8% are unsuitable for service. I see the need for a broader program to resolve internal issues within the education sector with the cooperation of the Ministry of Education and other entities. Brain drain is a huge issue across all sectors. Everyone can leave the country without any issue, and when we attempt to create laws and regulations to address it, it is made into a political issue with trade union action launched. In the meantime, President Maithripala Sirisena paid his last respects to late veteran journalist Hemanalin Karunaratne today. The remains of the late television personality was brought to a private funeral parlour this morning, and his final rites will be performed tomorrow in Colombo. The report compiled by the Presidential Commission of Inquiry into the controversial central bank bond issuance took centre stage in Parliament today. Speaker Karu Jayasuriya informed the House that all attachments of the report have been requested from the President's Secretary. Meanwhile, the Speaker also made a special statement regarding the various remarks made pertaining to the bond inquiry report. It is with regret I inform that the Parliament, including its members and the country itself, are discredited because of false rumours that involve the Presidential Commission's report on the central bank bond issuance. I kindly request everyone, including the media, to stop spreading these false rumours, which say that there is now 166 instead of 118 parliamentarians who took bribes from Perpetual Treasuries Limited while insulting several civil society members. All respective parties have informed me that no list exists with the names of parliamentarians who took bribes. Meanwhile, the police informed me that rumours which allegedly came from 25 security officers working for parliamentarians are now found to be false. There is another topic that's being discussed which says 166 cheque transactions have taken place from Aloysius's bank account. An investigation must be carried out as to who received these cheques. If you don't have a list of the responsible parliamentarians, we would like to know whether you received any report on these cheques. And it is unfair that those who get the complete Presidential Commission's report are only revealing a few documents at a time. There are a lot of documents which they haven't disclosed. When will you present the documents from C1 to C349 to this Parliament? You have become our messenger now. You have to pass messages between us and the Secretary to the President. That's why I am reiterating what I mentioned the other day, that to call the President's Secretary to the Parliament so all parliamentarians can directly discuss the matter with him. I have already requested the Secretary to provide me with all attachments of the main report. He is currently out of the country. I believe that once he returns, he will take immediate action to present those documents with the permission of the Attorney General.
Meanwhile, the issue of the Telstra Network Private Limited was also taken up in Parliament.
We would like to know the current situation with regards to the TNL's transmission station in Polgahawela. The Telecommunications Regulatory Commission has given us reasons as to why they carried out this raid. We also received a letter from TNL's chairman, Shan Wickramasinghe. There are contradictory statements in this information, so we are looking into it. But, as I am informed, they will also resort to legal action in a few days.
On to one of our headline making news now. Symptoms of the influenza A virus, which has claimed many lives in the southern province, is now reported from elsewhere in the country. Several patients who were showing symptoms consistent with the virus were admitted to the Amblipitia Hospital for treatment over the past few days. Speaking to First at 9, Provincial Director of the Health Services of Sabaragamuwa, Dr. Kapila Kannangara said that hospitals in the province have been requested to be on alert to control the spread of the virus. The influenza A virus, which was first reported in the southern province, has claimed the lives of 14 children thus far. However, the virus, which was only prevalent in the southern province, looks to be spreading in the Sabaragamuwa province as well. Provincial Director of Health Services of Sabaragamuwa, Dr. Kapila Kannangara, said that hospitals in the province have been requested to be on alert following hospitalization of 10 patients who showed similar symptoms to that of the influenza A virus.
There is a possibility of the disease spreading to the Sabaragamuwa province as well, especially in Ratnapura district, areas like Amblipitia where there is quite a large population. And also this is a airborne disease, and there are sort of people going about from Amblipitia to the southern province, and there are so many patients who are seeking health care, who are residing in the southern province, who come to Amblipitia to get their medical treatment. But at the moment, there is no epidemic situation in Ratnapura or in Amblipitia. According to the Amblipitia hospital sources, there are about 10 patients who show these symptoms. So at the moment, it's being controlled by the hospital doctors and the staff.
However, Medical Superintendent of the District General Hospital in Amblipitia, Nepul Dharmatilaka, said that close to 30 patients are currently receiving treatment for influenza A virus at the hospital.
We have been having patients coming from the southern province to receive treatment, which is why we have around 20 to 30 patients at our wards. However, we did not see this number increase in the past few days.
Meanwhile, Director General of Health Services Dr. Anil Jasinghe engaged in the inspection tour of the Karapitia Teaching Hospital today. Addressing media, Dr. Jasinghe said that cases pertaining to influenza A has seen a decrease over the past few days. Meanwhile, the Government Medical Officers Association charged that the spread of the virus is owing to the lack of preparation of the epidemiology unit of the Ministry of Health.
At the beginning, there was no preparedness for this epidemic. This is the season for this influenza epidemic, and the early actions or the rapid actions are essential to prevent the spreading of the disease. Up to now, the government has taken several steps, but the initial setback which was done at the epidemiology unit has resulted this high number of patients in the southern province within this period.
There was controversy at the Maharaja Urban Council today, with 6 members of the Sri Lanka Podujana Perumuna taking oath in place of 6 candidates elected from an independent group. Among the new councillors is the former mayoress Kanti Kodikara. A tense situation erupted when the opposition members raised their objections against the new appointments.
The nomination papers presented to the Maharaja Urban Council by Sri Lanka Podujana Perumuna was rejected during the local authorities election. It was then that the Sri Lanka Podujana Perumuna rendered their support to 2 independent groups which contested under the sign of motorcycle. The said independent groups clinched victory at the Maharaja Urban Council with 44,783 votes in their favour, securing 25 seats in the council. However, 6 women representatives of the independent groups resigned from their positions, following which 6 women representatives from the SLPP took oath today, filling their vacancies. These new representatives, including former mayoress Kanti Kodikara, took ceremonial oath before former President Mahinda Rajapaksa. We should be thankful to these members of the independent groups who resigned from their posts so that deserving individuals can assume these positions. We all should understand the difference between provincial and national politics to avoid issues.
That was because they don't represent the Maharaja Urban Council and they have agreed to allow chosen councillors to take over instead of them.
It was in this backdrop that opposition members of the Maharaja Urban Council engaged in a protest inside the premises wearing black armbands. After a short while, a brawl erupted between members of the opposition and Sri Lanka Podujana Perumuna. The newly appointed women councillors entered the house of the Urban Council during the tense situation. Later, the chairman of the council had to postpone the session until the 20th of this month. However, police had to intervene to disperse the councillors as they continued to engage in the brawl. Meanwhile, Chairman of the Election Commission Mahinda Deshapre said, as per the local authorities elections ordinance, it is legal for other individuals to take oath for any vacated seats.
The Criminal Investigation Department informed Colombo Fort Magistrate Court today that State Minister of International Trade Sujiva Senasinghe received a 3 million rupee cheque from a subsidiary of Perpetual Treasuries Limited, WM Mendes. It was also revealed that the PTL Group settled credit card expenses of former Central Bank Governor Arjuna Mahendran, which amounted to 3.2 million rupees. Furthermore, Senior Additional Solicitor General Yasantha Kodagoda, representing facts before court, said that MP Dasiri Jayasekara has not yet given his statement to the CID pertaining to the 1 million rupee cheque he received from a subsidiary of Perpetual Treasuries.
Senior Additional Solicitor General Yasantha Kodagoda, presenting facts before the Colombo Fort Magistrates Court, said that State Minister Sujiva Senasinghe received 3 cheques between the 24th of August 2015 to the 31st of March 2016, amounting to 3 million rupees from a subsidiary of Perpetual Treasuries Limited, WM Mendes. He added that the cheques were encashed by one of the State Minister's security personnel and steps will be taken to summon the Minister to the CID to obtain his statement. Furthermore, Senior Additional Solicitor General Yasantha Kodagoda said that following a 4-day search operation carried out by the CID, valuable evidence and documents were discovered at the premises of Perpetual Treasuries Limited. The search warrant was issued by the Fort Magistrates Court on the 30th of last month. Meanwhile, Kodagoda also noted that as per a statement provided by the Secretary of former Central Bank Governor Arjuna Mahendran, Amila Dahanayaka, 3 cheques from WM Mendes amounting to 3.2 million rupees was utilised to settle the personal credit card expenses of the former Central Bank Governor. Kodagoda also added that although he had informed parliamentarian Dasiri Jayasekara to appear before the CID to provide a statement pertaining to the cheque amounting to 1 million rupees by a subsidiary of the PTL, he had failed to do so. Senior Additional Solicitor General Yasantha Kodagoda informed court that owner of PTL Arjuna Aloysius and its CEO Kasun Palisena did not declare their assets despite a court order requesting them to do so. The order was issued on the 15th of March last year. However, the defence's objections over the court order was rejected by Magistrate Lankan and further remanded the duo until the 21st of this month. Senior Additional Solicitor General Yasantha Kodagora informed court today that an extradition act is currently being drafted to allow the government to request Singapore to bring former Central Bank Governor Arjuna Mahendran back to Sri Lanka for questioning.
Parliamentarian Venerable Athurule Ratanathera highlights that regulatory mechanism is needed when introducing weedicides such as glyphosate. The Venerable Thera expressed these views at an awareness program held recently.
When we use glyphosate as a weedicide, there is a process called glyphosate drift. At first, glyphosate is absorbed by the tea leaves. Almost half of weedicides drift in air and stop at other trees and plants. When you apply this on tea, it also goes to the adjoining estate. Sri Lanka's tea is respected all over the world due to its pureness. Now, upon witnessing this, our competitors would say that Sri Lanka used glyphosate on tea and that they would advertise it as how Sri Lanka made their tea better. It can easily happen in the near future. Once I went to Madavachia in Anuradhapura and met an 18-year-old youth with kidney disease whose father and uncle were both dead. I went there with an Indian doctor and asked him whether he could cure the youth. I took care of the expenses and sent him to India, where he was cured and lived for 10 more years. He died recently and I do not know the reason. Therefore, we need a regulatory process for this and it is very important. But do we have an authority for such a process? Therefore, please don't give this poison to our people without revealing the poisonous elements contained in it.
Chief Minister of Northern Province C.V. Vigneshwaran highlighted the importance of political issues of the country coming to an end in order to develop exports, infrastructure and encourage domestic enterprises of the province which would enter the global market. He was speaking at the ceremony organised to mark the branch opening of the Export Development Board in Jaffna today.
In the aftermath of the war, we expected to get back to a normal democratic way of life. But that did not take place. While the forces continued to be here, the army and our people might want to maintain peace and order. The slightest provocation could trigger off violent activities by either side. How would this fit into a peaceful, vibrant environment needed to promote trade and commerce, export and entrepreneurship? The need to solve the national question is more urgent today than ever before. We could ignore and carry on, but we must remember that at any stage, the presence of the military in these areas could provoke a reaction. Such reactions would be falsely identified as terrorist activities, and then we would have to start from the beginning. Yesterday's local papers were critical of me participating in the World Environment Day with the Honourable Governor and the Army in attendance. I was unaware of the Army's involvement in that event. If our council had organised the event, certainly we would not have called the Army in. It appears our amiable Army Commander Lieutenant General Mahesh Senanayake is acting strategically to ensure the continuance of the Army in these regions. We need export development. We need infrastructure development. We need to encourage domestic enterprises which could enter the global market. But are these possible except in a limited way without our political problems being brought to an end? We had moved away from the cry of separation and obtained support from our people overwhelmingly to opt for a federal constitution which would help us to develop ourselves and the country as a whole. As soon as a federal constitution is effected, you could be absolutely certain that our diaspora would want to invest here in a big way. The diaspora could be a powerful source of help to our entrepreneurs. But the government must give them guarantees that obstacles and barricades would not be placed on their path of progress. Any attempt to discriminate against them would make them withdraw. We have monies waiting to be sent to our people here from Canada. We have been still deprived of a local mechanism to receive the money. Our people do want to contribute to the achievement of national export target of $23 billion in 2020.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
Welcome back to the news. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe yesterday elaborated on the government's efforts to make Sri Lanka a hub of the Indian Ocean. He said the logistics sector has been identified as an industry to be promoted in a bid to achieve this goal. The Premier's comments came during a conference organised by the National Chamber of Exporters on the information technology industry in Sri Lanka. The PM also touched on the industry of information technology in the country and expressed high expectations in revenue.
Today we have the revenue to service the debts. Our balance of payments are such that until we earn more, we'll always have to borrow foreign currency to pay off our debts. Secondly, the need to increase our GDP and to give a better living standard to our people. Both those are connected. Some of the areas which we have identified to promote as new areas are firstly the logistics industry, making Sri Lanka the hub of the Indian Ocean and turning the port city into offshore financial center. Now this is why we are also focusing on the development of the two harbours of Colombo, and now we've got viable arrangement for Hambantota. Colombo does not have to pay for Hambantota, and very soon we'll be having a viable arrangement for Mattala Airport. There's a lot of scope today for IT in tourism. Then, of course, the whole knowledge economy, which the thrust has to come from the IT industry. And this is the area which is important for us. We would like to see a revenue of $5 billion. Easier said than done, because we've only hit $1 billion, and that's after about 25 years. For us, the knowledge industry economy is important, because that's where we can send in our most valuable human resources, that is our manpower, our people. Then we have to look at the issues connected to knowledge workers and their remuneration. There are issues about the tax, there are issues about vehicles, because we have to realize that once you train this knowledge worker, you may actually be training for another country. So let us see how we can keep them, what we can do within the existing fiscal structures, of course.
The Presidential Commission of Inquiry appointed to probe the management of Sri Lankan Airlines, Sri Lankan Catering and Mihin Lanka convened today recorded evidence from representative of the Department of Registrar of Companies Indika Gunawardena for a third day. During today's session, it was revealed that the Department of Registrar of Companies had proceeded to register Mihin Lanka as a legal company within the country despite the relevant application containing printing errors.
Indika Gunawardena today appeared before the Commission of Inquiry probing the management of Sri Lankan Airlines, Sri Lankan Catering and Mihin Lanka for a third day, representing the Registrar General. During the proceedings, Senior Deputy Solicitor General Nilu Nambua asked the witness to reveal the main stakeholders listed in the application lodged with the Department of Registrar of Companies seeking Mihin Lanka's registration as a legal company on the 23rd of October in 2006. In response, Gunawardena revealed before the Commission that former Defence Secretary Gotabe Rajapaksa, former Secretary to the Ministry of Finance PB Jayasundara, former Air Force Commander Air Chief Marshal Roshan Gunatilaka and a former Coordinating Secretary to the President Sajin Devas Gunawardena were listed as main stakeholders of Mihin Lanka. He added that the name of Gotabe Rajapaksa was noted as the applicant in the application which sought the registration of the company. Meanwhile, it was also revealed that the then Registrar General K.D. Hettiarachchi had made a note that there was a printing error in the application which sought registration of Mihin Lanka as Mihin Lanka Private Limited. Indika Gunawardena, who appeared before the Commission representing the Registrar General, said that although the protocol is to inform the applicant to resubmit an application with corrections, a letter informing the applicant of any required corrections is not contained in the Mihin Lanka file. Gunawardena went on to say that from when the documents were accepted on the 23rd of October in 2006, Mihin Lanka was registered as Mihin Lanka Private Limited within 4 days by the 27th.
Sri Lankan shares ended slightly weaker today, hovering near their lowest close in over 5 months hit earlier in the week. The all-share price index closed 0.15% weaker at 6,399.91 and the daily turnover was 510.1 million rupees. We now have Nishanta Batagalla from the Colombo Stock Exchange with a detailed report.
The market capitalization at the end of the day was 2,971.8 billion rupees. Today's foreign purchases were 126.4 million, while the foreign sales were 240.7 million. There were 2 crossings and the crossing turnover was rupees 71.2 million.
The Sri Lankan rupee hit a fresh record low of 158.90 per dollar today as imported dollar demand offset the lack of greenback sales by exporters. The spot rupee hit an all-time low of 158 rupees and 90 cents per dollar, surpassing its previous low of 158 rupees and 80 cents against the US dollar hit in the previous session. Dealers said the rupee will be under pressure, with exporters staying on the sidelines in anticipation of a fall in the unit, in line with other emerging market currencies, and they expect the rupee to trade between 162 rupees to 163 rupee level by the end of the year. Let's now take a look at some of how the rupee traded against other currencies around the world.
Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Welcome back to the news. Opposition politicians in Guatemala want the head of the emergency response agency, CONRED, to be dismissed. They say CONRED failed to heed advance warnings about the deadly eruption of the Fuego volcano. As of last evening, the death toll from the eruption stood on the verge of 100.
Guatemala's Fuego volcano erupted on Sunday, sending columns of ash and smoke into the sky as high as 10 kilometers. People were asked to evacuate, but many couldn't in time. The death toll has been climbing since Sunday, and now it stands at 99, with the country's emergency response agency, CONRED, confirming that 192 people are missing. Now the fingers are beginning to point towards CONRED, with opposition politicians saying that the emergency response agency failed to heed advance warnings about the deadly eruption. They want the head of CONRED dismissed and says the government should investigate whether there was criminal negligence. Amid this harrowing incident, there are reminders that selflessness, bravery and human spirit aren't dead even during times of adversity. In a latest video to emerge shows a father and son duo is seen driving towards the ash cloud when Fuego erupted on Sunday, urging people to get inside the car as other people ran downhill on the street. They had driven up to 13 times until they got people that couldn't move fast enough to escape the lava. This dramatic video shows firefighters desperately trying to escape from a huge cloud of ash behind them. It does not take long for the ash cloud to reach them, filling the vehicle's cabin with thick ash, forcing the vehicle to come to a halt. Before the cloud hits, people are seen running for their lives, accelerating on motorbikes and screaming in panic. The firefighters remain inside the vehicle in darkness. An unidentified firefighter can be heard saying, "There are people, close the windows, turn on the siren, remain calm," before the video cuts out after a few minutes. Whether Guatemala's emergency response agency CONRED failed to heed advance warnings is now of little consequence, as what is certain at this very moment in time is the rise in the number of deaths.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Manucha Jayatilika is at the Other Derana Weather Centre with your forecast first evening edition.
A very good evening and welcome to Forecast First. Your temperatures are to vary between 21 to 32 degrees Celsius, with the highest temperature expected in the Mullaitivu district. The lowest temperature, of course, can be expected in the Nuwara district. Moving on to your rain forecast now, showers can be expected mainly in the western, southern and central provinces. We can also expect fairly strong winds in the coastal areas of the island tomorrow. That's it from your weather center tonight. Up next is your city by city forecast.
That's it for Mother Derana First at 9 for tonight. But before we go, we'd like to take you to Singamutuwa, meaning a small estuary located in the town of Akkarepattu. Singamutuwa is a small fishing village rich with natural beauty. We hope you enjoy these visuals and have a pleasant evening.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.